Hey guys, how's it going? It's BaxDB here and welcome back to my channel. And in today's video we are going to be reviewing the Japan Fighting Game Publishers Roundtable 2 that took place in the early hours of this morning. Now, it was 5 o'clock in the morning when this stream started. It was very early and, well, we're going to talk about some of the problems that it was hit with when it went live. So this video is going to be a general review of just the overall broadcast and just discussing a couple of the smaller reveals that we saw. If you want to see my specific thoughts on the reveals from SNK, Bandai Namco and Arc System Works, I have recorded separate videos for those and you can find them in the description box below. So let's talk about the broadcast. Oh boy, look, I'm not going to try and blame anyone, I'm not going to try and criticise anyone, but this broadcast was beset with huge problems. I mean, we lost the English translation for the first half an hour. As you can see in the bottom right corner there, you've got Giuna and Michael Murray of Bandai Namco. Let's get this video playing, actually. You can see them talking there. Now, you can hear them at this point, but for about the first half an hour, they were just muted completely, and you just couldn't hear them at all. And it was quite awkward actually at points, because you just didn't know what was going on. You could kind of get an idea of what they were saying, and you could see in the bottom left-hand corner that the topic that they were talking about, which was at the time they were talking about what is the impact been of developing games at home. But for a good portion of the broadcast, either Giuna and Murray were out of sync or they just weren't heard at all. So if you didn't speak Japanese, it was pretty difficult to follow. Now, the actual discussion part of the roundtable was pretty bland, but what you're seeing here is a section that was used during the netcode side of the discussion, and this is where I think the biggest controversy from the event has come, because a lot of these stats have been put forward by Harada and Bandai Namco, and this is their analysis of the difference of what's happened with internet usage since they introduced Season 4. So let me pause the video here. In Season 3, they didn't have a Wi-Fi indicator. In Season 4, they introduced that, and they have seen an increase in the usage of LAN, local area network players, compared to Wi-Fi players. Developers want you to play with a wired connection, a LAN connection, and it makes the game run better for both sides, even with either delay-based netcode or rollback netcode. The issue that I think a lot of people are going to have with this particular section is that it almost seemed like the developers were trying to make out that it was Wi-Fi players that were the problem and not the issues with their netcode. And I think in some ways they probably are correct. I mean, yeah, they have the data, they understand these things much better than the majority of us, but it doesn't take a genius and somebody with deep knowledge of this to work out that netcode is a big issue. I mean, just look at Street Fighter V. They've got rollback netcode in their game, but they've implemented it wrong. Tekken also has a form of rollback netcode, but it is not the best rollback netcode that they could have introduced. Whereas you look at the Guilty Gear Strive beta currently going on at the minute, when you can play the game online, which I did last night, it's smooth, there are no issues, and if somebody is playing on a really bad Wi-Fi connection, you can tell. I didn't have issues with that yesterday, but the reports are if somebody has a bad Wi-Fi connection, that's when you can tell, that's when the netcode starts to feel it a little bit. But other than that, their netcode has been absolutely phenomenal. So to try and pass off the fact that, oh, it's just Wi-Fi players that are the problem, I think you're trying to cover for the fact that you haven't implemented the correct netcode into your game. And I think a lot of people were worried by this, and I think particularly by SNK, who seemed to agree with what was going on. And yeah, they didn't announce whether they would be using rollback netcode in KOF 15. So, it's slight cause for concern there. But this was the main topic, I think, and this was the main area of interest for a lot of people, particularly off the back of the success of the Guilty Gear Strive beta that's currently going on and has been extended due to all the problems that they've had with server issues. So I think to hear some of the stuff that was being said by the developers, I think a lot of people were a bit concerned by that. Let's carry on playing in the meantime. The other discussions that took place were the impact of tournaments and how offline is really important for promotion of the game. But I thought it was interesting to hear what Nakayama and Matsumoto from Capcom had to say, that actually having the online tournament was so important for them to continuing to push their brand. And I thought that was interesting, and I think, look, Capcom in terms of the esports side of things, they do it right. Whether you agree with what they do a lot of the time, they do it right. So that was very interesting to hear them talk about that. And the final part of the discussion was a bit of a fun one. It was what would happen in an offline developers meeting if all of them sat in a proper round table in the same room. Obviously, we need restrictions to lift before that happens. But no, I think that was interesting, that one. But it was a bit of fun. But they did say they would love to do sort of a gauntlet type tournament between all the developers, which I'd love to see. And I'd put my money on Daisuke probably winning that, or Nishitani, one of the two. So that was the first half, anyway, of the broadcast. The second half was the reveals. Now, as I've said already, the SNK, Bandai Namco, and Arc System Works part reveals, they're going to be in separate videos. But I'm just going to briefly touch upon what was announced by Capcom and Eureka. Now, we'll start with Eureka. They actually announced a new version of Fighting EX Layer. It's going to be on the Nintendo Switch. They've spent the time implementing rollback netcode. Nishitani was very keen to talk about that. So, just a nice little development trend there for Fighting EX Layer. And there was also more from Capcom. They did a bit more of a demonstration on how the V-Shift is going to work. It was confirmed that it's going to be heavy punch plus medium kick to activate the V-Shift. And they were showing off the different moves and the ways it can be used. They showed you the demonstration of it, which was pretty cool. But they didn't have anything huge because, as I said in my preview video yesterday, Capcom have done their big announcement. They did it nearly 2 weeks ago. So it would have been very surprising if they had more big news to bring to this kind of event. So all in all, I think it's fair to say that whilst there was some interesting stuff, because of all the technical problems, this event did struggle quite badly. As I said, in the second half of the event, Giuna and Murray were about 30 seconds behind the broadcast, so we were seeing things on screen that they hadn't seen, and so they were struggling to keep up with the translation side of things. So I did feel really sorry for them, and I want to give Giuna and Murray praise because they did a really, really good job of trying to keep us as well informed as possible, despite the technical issues facing them. Technical problems happen. That's the world we live in. So I'm not going to try and blame anyone, but hopefully it doesn't deter the developers from doing another round of this at some point, maybe later this year or next year. Okay, well, that's my general thoughts. If you want to see more from me and you want to see my reactions to the SNK, Bandai Namco and Arc System reveals, they're going to be in the description below. But you can also do that by subscribing to my channel. There you go. It really does help with the growth of the channel, and I want to make more content for you guys, so please do subscribe so you can get it first. Also, what did you think of the excuse me, what did you think of the roundtable? Did you think it was wonderful? Did you think it was the worst thing ever? What did you think of it? Comment below, let me know, and we can talk about it. Okay guys, until next time, stay safe, and I shall speak to you soon.